For more insight into Juneteenth and the Trump administration's impact on this holiday, let's bring in Joseph Williams. He's a journalist and former senior editor at U.S. News and World Report. Always great to see you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Juneteenth, as we know, a federal holiday just now 4 years, but it's been recognized for much longer than that. Given the current political climate, tell us what you've seen in parts of the United States today, how it's been commemorated.
Well, we do see a lot of people who are taking it to heart, much as your correspondent found. There were a lot of people who were still taking it quite seriously, a lot of people who were viewing it as a day of celebration of resilience and the fortitude of African Americans in this country, and how this was officially the closing of a really ugly chapter in American history. A lot of people are still viewing it that way. There have been op-eds, there have been celebrations in different communities, my community included, and a lot of people are just using the day to kind of take stock of where we are as a nation, particularly in light of the fact that this nation was built on the labor of unpaid Africans who had been stolen from their country.
Yep, I saw on the way to work just outside, down the street from my house, a celebration happening with kids, families, music, everything. Last year, Joseph, we saw a lot of corporate support of this holiday, highlighting Black brands. Target was one good example, but this year it looks a lot different with the Trump administration's efforts to end DEI. How have the conversations changed, would you say, among corporate America?
It's radically different. You compare what you were talking about last year. There was a lot of celebration by Target, in fact, but now Target this year was the subject of a boycott by a lot of Black consumers for their decision to eliminate DEI from their corporate structure. There have been many, many corporations who have done that. Walmart. You name it. And basically that is a radical shift from where it was in 2025, or 2020 rather, where we had a racial awakening, if you will, and people were trying to find out more about the history of Black people in this country. And the advent of Donald Trump and his government-wide proclamation to sweep aside diversity, equity, and inclusion and punish companies and individuals who did that work for a living or tried to do the work of racial inclusion, that has had a lot of corporations running scared, and that has set back a lot of the progress that had been made over the past 5 years.
Right, all of a sudden now racial justice efforts have been rebranded as woke extremism. Tell us more about the conversations that have been taking place around Juneteenth. Are there any concerns that we may not get back to what this all started with? I mean, we have the rest of this administration, but do you think it's damaged in any way?
I think the spirit of the holiday remains intact. I mean, Black people were celebrating this particular date long before it became an official federal holiday, so I think that much will remain. In the Black community, it is still going to be a thing. Writ large, a federal holiday is a federal holiday. It's a lot harder to repeal one than it is to get one enacted. But I think overall, your points are very correct, that we have had a difference in conversation here. A lot of it has been fomented by Donald Trump. A lot of people have been willing to turn their backs on the progress of the last 5 years, and indeed on the history of African Americans in this country, which is entwined in how the country was built. I mean, you can't deny history, but what has happened in the era of Trump is the conversation has kind of shifted from redress to reversal, and the reversal has been President Trump very much been deliberately trying to erase Black history because it is a history that he says makes people feel bad, when in fact it's something that we should be very actively discussing in order to progress as a country. You can't extract slavery from the history of this nation. You can't extract slavery from the building of the wealth of this nation. Those two facts alone make it worth teaching in schools, even if it makes some people uncomfortable. But denying that is right out of the authoritarian playbook, where the first thing you do is you control history and control the narrative. Therefore, you make your argument seem more legitimate than history to keep people on your side.
Could this be another example of many where there's what seems to be a growing disconnect between symbolic progress like commemorative holidays and then the policy realities where voting rights, affirmative action, and equity funding are being stripped away?
Well, I mean, you basically said it. Those are very important things where we have a symbolic holiday. And indeed, a lot of people who were lukewarm in the black community about the Juneteenth becoming an official holiday point to exactly the same things. The wealth disparity between black Americans and white Americans is as large as it's ever been. Voting rights have been rolled back. Donald Trump has made consistent attacks against voting rights along with the Supreme Court. And we now have voters who feel disenfranchised and disconnected from the system, the very same system that the Republic is supposed to help and to make redresses for 160 years rather of forced labor. So the conversation indeed has changed. I think it will rebound, but I think we've got to get past the Trump era first, and it's still quite staggering to realize that it's only been less than 6 months or about around 6 months since he's been in office.